So today we're doing a full in-depth review of the Sony FE 55mm F1.8. This is a Zeiss lens that's very highly regarded in the Sony community, and we're going to break down everything that you need to know about it, including the build and features, the value, performance, and I will give you my personal pros and cons of this lens so that you guys can decide if it's right for you. Let's go! We're jumping right into the review of our Sony 55mm F1.8, and here's some basic stats for you guys that you'd find on the box or on the website. And if you are new here and you enjoy this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Let's have a look at a quick unboxing and the build of this lens. So it's a small box for a small lens, and like most Sony products, doesn't have a lot in the box. It's got a little bit of paperwork. It's got the lens itself, which is nicely wrapped. It comes with a little leather carrying pouch, as well as a sunshade. So as far as build quality goes, this lens is about as good as you're going to get that's not a G Master. It's very well made, it's got a bit of weight to it, and it's got a great size obviously, measuring only 2 7/8 inches long by 2 5/8 inches wide. It weighs just 281 grams, or a little over half a pound, keeping it reasonable and making it great for gimbal work, and to be able to throw it into your bag is not an issue. It does have a small 49mm filter diameter, and does include Zeiss's T-Star anti-reflective coating that minimizes flare. It has a nice solid tight-fitting metal mount, but unfortunately, like a lot of Sony's lenses, it is missing a little rubber gasket, making this lens only moisture and dust resistant. The focus ring is solid, smooth, and accurate. It is metal, which to be honest is not my first choice. I find it to be a bit of a dust attractant, but it does feel good. You'll notice that this lens has no buttons or switches whatsoever, which I guess is okay. And do note that it's not image stabilized. But all in all, when it comes to build, it is very well made, with just a few downsides, and I give this lens 4 stars. Now let's touch on the value of this lens. Coming in around $1,000 US, it's definitely not the cheapest lens out there, especially in its class. It does perform well, as you'll see in a minute, but it does have some competition, most notably the much cheaper Sony FE 50mm F1.8, basically Sony's version of the nifty 50. It's definitely cheaper, but do not expect the same quality and performance that you'll get out of this. You can also find some third-party options, including Sigma's renowned Art series, which is a great lens, a little bit cheaper. It is a little bit faster as well, but it's also much bigger and heavier. So we will get into performance here in a second, but as far as value is concerned, because of the size, the weight, the price, and the performance of this lens, I give it a solid 4 stars. So now what you've been waiting for, performance. And yes, this thing does live up to the rumors. It performs phenomenally. Having a look at autofocus, both stills and videos, it works very well. It does suffer from some focus breathing, and I did notice that when shooting stills, it does hunt just a tiny little bit before it locks on, but it rarely misses. Its autofocus consistency in video actually really surprised me, even in nasty and unpredictable light. In both regards, very impressive, and it reminds me of the newer 35 1.8. So as you guys know, I'm a photography guy first and a video guy second, so I thought we'd start off with the photography aspects of this lens. And yeah, it's a jack of all trades, it can do it all, but let's look at the photography side of it. Check out the optics, the sharpness and whatnot, and show you a few examples of some of the pictures that I've taken with it. Let's have a look. Looking at the optics and sharpness of this lens, it is quite impressive. However, you will find that it suffers from quite a bit of vignetting and a little bit of distortion throughout the aperture range. But don't worry, of course that can be fixed with just one click in post, as you see here. The lens is quite sharp in the center, wide open at f1.8. The corners, however, are definitely not perfect, but acceptable. Stop down to 2.8 for a noticeable difference. and down to 5.6 and f8 for impressive sharpness. f8 was the sharpest in my experience, and anything past f11 you start to lose quality again. One thing I was surprised with was at times the heavy presence of chromatic aberration. Keep that in mind. But overall an incredibly sharp lens that'll take care of you when you need to shoot the details. Because of its circular 9-blade aperture, the quality of bokeh that you get from this lens is just beautiful. Some of the best I've seen, in fact. And although everybody has their own preference, you be the judge with some of these pictures that I've taken.
So now let's have a look at the video side of things. And 50mm is just such a great, versatile focal length. So here's a few clips that I put together to show you just what this thing can do.
So looking at performance as a whole, this lens is fantastic. Performing great for pictures, for video, and everything that you're going to throw at it, including low light and tough situations. Because of all that, I give this thing a solid 4.5 stars. So wrapping up, you can definitely see the appeal of this lens and why everybody loves it. It's just such a great size and weight, it's versatile, and it performs extremely well. As usual, here's my personal pros and cons of this lens. You definitely get the performance out of something that you'd usually find that's a lot bigger and a lot more expensive. Looking at every aspect of this lens together, you guessed it, it's very good, and it gets 4.5 stars. I also like to rate things on a scale from never think about again to consider to definitely buy. And this one, if you're in the market for a 50 or equivalent focal length lens and you've got a few bucks to spend, this is definitely a strong consider.
Well, there's my review and experience with this little guy, and it's not without its flaws, but of course no lens is perfect. I hope you liked this video, guys. I hope it helped you out, and if it did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button and drop your questions and comments down below. If you're thinking about buying this lens, if you want to pick it up, I will leave an affiliate link in the description for you that'll take you to where you need to go. And like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.